I'm so happy to see that the Date Night Masses mod just dropped, and for those of you that don't know, it basically deals with Ruv and Cervante in an alternate universe where the two are actually dating. And in this video, I want to go over the backstory of this mod and why it's important that they are dating, and also some background into the characters themselves, because they have probably the most in-depth backstories of any character or modded character in Friday Night Funkin'. Now, this mod starts off with Ruv having a nightmare, and the nightmare is concerning if he ever breaks this vow with Cervante. And for those of you who don't know, basically back in the day, Ruv and Cervante made a vow that Ruv would protect her for all eternity. Now, the bad thing here though is that if he ever breaks that vow, Cervante will die. So it's kind of a big deal, which is why he's having this nightmare, because obviously he loves her, he doesn't want her to die. Now, let's go ahead and go into the backstory of Cervante and Ruv a little bit so you can understand truly how deeply their relationship goes. Now, we don't know exactly how Cervante came into existence, but we know that she was a demon child for centuries. What I mean by this is that she was unable to grow mentally or physically because she had some type of unfulfilled childhood dream, something that she just was not able to accomplish. The only reason that she was able to actually grow up is because she met Ruv when they were children and they became childhood friends. Some of you may notice that Ruv has a ribbon over his eye. That is actually from Cervante. She gave that to them when they were children in order for him to remember her later in life and as a promise that they would meet again later when they were adults. Something else that's interesting about Cervante is that she was rejected by God and is not able to enter heaven ever. We don't actually know why this is, but we assume that she made some type of mistake that is just so heinous that God will never accept her into heaven. One thing that I really like about her though is that instead of becoming like a villain or an evil demon, she actually spends her life now just trying to get people into heaven, to try to help people change their life around so that they can get guided into heaven. This is why she dresses up as a nun, by the way. She feels like if she puts on this nun outfit, it will make people trust her more and it will in turn help her get them into heaven. In actuality, she's not a nun. She's not even really a nice person per se, because if people don't want to convert or become religious, she'll actually scare them into being religious. She'll literally open up a portal to hell and give them an ultimatum. You can go to hell or you can change your life around so that you can make it into the heavenly gates. Now, part of the reason that Cervante is able to open these portals to hell may be because she was considered to be Lucifer, aka the ruler of hell, for a long time. Even though now she doesn't want to be the ruler of hell, back in the day, apparently she did some terrible things in order to get the throne and to keep that power. Something that I find kind of cute though is that now that she's met Ruv, she's become actually softer. So a lot of people think that Ruv is like the bad character out of these two, but technically for all the bad stuff that Ruv has done, which I'll explain next, Cervante was still way worse than him. And the last fun fact I'll give before I go to Ruv is that apparently Cervante knows every demon that's in the Friday Night Funkin' universe, and she hates all of them except for Girlfriend. Now, Ruv has somewhat of a similar childhood as Cervante, meaning that he didn't have a good one. He basically grew up in the slums of Russia. He was abandoned by his entire family. He had no friends, but he did have a pretty good sense of justice. He realized that people who had power in society were causing all type of crimes and problems for people without money, and he basically became a hitman or like a Robin Hood type figure where he would kill these people who had power and who were corrupted by that power. He did this for so long that he accrued a huge bounty on his head that is still there today, technically. With that huge bounty on his head, Ruv was basically on the run up until he finds the church that Cervante is actually held up in. Funny thing about that is that Cervante and Ruv didn't even remember each other initially. I imagine that their childhoods were so traumatic that that one good memory that they had together was just kind of lost among all the trauma and the bad things that they had to go through. Now, some of you may not be aware of why it's such a big deal that Ruv and Cervante are dating in this mod. If you remember back in the original mod, the two of them were just very close friends, more like roommates, but they were not actually together. And this is where Sullivan and Razazi come into play. Since Ruv never actually gets the courage to ask Cervante out, their children never actually have the opportunity to be brought into the canon Friday Night Funkin' universe. I'm gonna put a clip here that kind of explains the situation that Razazi and Sullivan are in. The first thing being that since these characters aren't actually canon, they're more like what if characters, specifically what if Cervante and Ruv actually had children. They're not actually allowed to be in the canon universe. Basically what this means is that these characters live in a place called the Nothing World, which sounds exactly like it is. It is a place where nothingness only exists. It's actually a white void that has a few portals that the children can look through and look at other alternate universes, and a few books that can keep them occupied somewhat. Now, while Sullivan does have the ability to jump to alternate universes, he actually cannot go to the canon universe where his original mother and father are. And even if he did find a way to take him and his sister there, he could potentially literally destroy the world. And what I mean by this is that time would literally collapse on that universe, or best case scenario, all four of them just simply stop existing. What this means for Razazi and her brother is that they have to watch their parents through the portals as if they are watching some type of televised drama, and this is the closest that they can ever actually get to their parents. And they are simply hoping that one day Ruv will actually pop the question or try to take his relationship with Cervante to the next level, because they know that if he doesn't, they'll be trapped in this void forever. Now, I don't think some of you realize just how crazy this actual situation is for these kids. Razazi and Sullivan are half demon, half stickman, but what a lot of people forget is that Cervante is some type of super demon, right? Some people even argue that she's the devil. And basically what this means is that Razazi and Sullivan are no longer aging. Razazi stopped aging at 14, Sullivan stopped aging at 17, meaning that they can live forever in this void. And since Ruv and Cervante are obviously immortal as well, these kids can literally spend the rest of their life or the rest of their existence in this void if Ruv and Cervante never actually become a couple and have children. Now, something that I find truly depressing is how each of these children try to cope with their situation, because in reality, it's almost like they're in prison for a crime that they didn't even commit. Now, Razazi spends most of her time reading books because she is trying to block out the fact that she has literally nothing going for herself in this world. But on those rare occasions when she is left alone with her thoughts, meaning that she's not reading or her brother isn't there to kind of comfort her, she falls into this deep type of depression because she understands that there is a very real potential that she will never meet her parents and there will never be more than life than what she has right here. And this is where Sullivan comes into play. Sullivan is a very good brother because he understands that he is the only person that his sister actually has, so he goes out of his way to make sure that she has anything that she needs in order to stay as happy as she can be while they are trapped in this void. For the sake of his sister, Sullivan puts on a brave face, he puts on a facade so that she doesn't know that he is actually very angry that they are in the situation that they're in. Sullivan is specifically very upset with his father because he feels like Ruv is simply a coward, and that's why he isn't trying to take his relationship to the next level. It's not because they don't love each other or because they wouldn't be a great couple, it's simply fear that is holding Ruv back. And it seems to be hard for Sullivan to respect somebody who is allowing fear to keep them from doing something that he believes Ruv wants to do. So basically, Sullivan and Razazi's chances of being brought into the canon universe is like 50-50. And the sad part about this is that these kids are fully aware that their lives depend basically on a coin toss. All of that basically to say that even though this date is very cute, there is more at stake than just Ruv being rejected or the date going poorly. Sullivan and Razazi's existence kind of depends on Ruv actually even making this step to begin with. I like to imagine that Razazi and Sullivan are kind of watching this happen and cheering their dad on because he finally has the courage to, take Cervante out and actually try to take their relationship to the next level. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video where I fully explain the new Gore-filled mod, or check out this video where I explain the Tales Halloween mod. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already. This has been Orseofkorse. Thank you for watching. Peace, peace.